Okay, right. So I'm just going to play. So the MA Media Practice and Industry was launched in 2019. And it was very much, the idea was to kind of have a really different approach to a MA in film and media production. It really is a lot about prototyping. It's about developing a suite of ideas rather than that old conventional thing where you would make one big project at the end of it. Instead, you make many, many, many versions and iterations of many different kinds of creative outputs. And there's also a lot of flexibility in the pathway. Okay, so now I think we've probably got everyone here. I just want to acknowledge the Gadigal people of the Eora Nation, on whose ancestral lands our city campus now stands, a campus I very much hope to welcome you to very soon, COVID willing. I'd also like to pay respect to elders, both past and present, acknowledging them as the traditional custodians of knowledge in this land. Okay, just going to play a little promo we have here.
Storytelling is such a powerful way of waking people up.
I think screen is the most powerful means of shaping how we think about ourselves.
Okay, so the Master of Practice and Industry courses structure, it's quite different to many different MAs. So you basically complete 9 subjects, including core subjects. And there are only 2 core subjects, one at the very beginning, the first semester, and one in the final semester. You can then choose 2 subjects from each block. Innovation, industry, and production. So they're quite sort of, they're quite broad based. So innovation is really looking for a business of screens and this kind of stuff. The production ones are obviously, as they say, they're more production orientated. But you're able to kind of select your own journey throughout that MA and you really sort of push your degree experience much more towards a practical production orientated thing, or more to a administrative arts administrator or curatorial or sort of a person who is more in the business of screens or the entrepreneurship of media output. So there's a lot of flexibility, and a lot of students, when they come in thinking they want to be one thing, and they discover on the journey throughout the MA that they become something quite different. It takes 1.5 years. We do have an option of an extended MA for some international students who require a 2-year course. Part-time students will be undertaking 1 or 2 subjects per semester, and depending on how many subjects you take, the course will take between 2 to 5 years. So as I said, you do 1 core subject. So this is for the grad cert, so the Graduate Certificate in Media Practice. That really is just 3 subjects. You could do that. Actually, this is not correct. It would only take you 1 semester, 0.5 years to do a grad cert if you did it full time. If you did it part time, it would take 1.5 years. Sorry, that's not right. but you do one core subjects. So that could be, if you just wanted to do a graduate certificate as a kind of dipping your toe into postgraduate experience, that might be something you would do StoryCorps, which I tend to run, but you might do Screen Ideas and you might do Business of Screens. That will give you the ability to kind of package up a really powerful media idea, screen project idea, possibly to take into market. So you can pick these subjects, or for example, you could do something like you could focus on screen ideas and then do advanced post-production to put together, you know, a really interesting visual representation of your project you were thinking about. Or if you were more interested in developing your skills as a leader, I suppose, of an organization, you could think about doing StoryCorps and then think about doing curation and advanced creative entrepreneurship. That will be very much a suite of subjects that will be really compelling that way. So the reason the media practice and industry, you know, why is it so exceptional? It's completely different almost to every other media MA offered in Australia. As I said, it is still very production oriented, but it gives you the power to create your own path. You have the autonomy to shape your degree and suit your next career move. You can select a range of subjects, and you obviously can do this as you go along. You don't have to have it all worked out at the beginning. And you can focus on areas that matter to you. But I think what everyone or the students tend to do is they discover things as they go through. They discover there are subjects, particularly I think a lot of the subjects that grade does, advanced, post and immersive, that they were perhaps felt that that wasn't really an area that we wanted to go into, but they become really kind of interested in pursuing that. We're very much focused on the future. The workforce is changing, and so is our focus. We aim to build on your skills from the inside out to make you a versatile, resilient, and powerful professional. We're very much focused on the fact that there's, you know, it really is a challenging environment out there. People don't know, they're wanting ideas. They, you know, the industry is changing in a really fast way. And it's also, there's a lot of ideological issues. There's a lot of cultural and creative issues you need to be engaged in. And we try and bring that together and be very mindful of what the industry is doing. You know, as I've said, the whole architecture is flexibility. We really have a lot of students who work full-time. We do a lot of things on the weekend. We do block mode teaching. So the course I do, the StoryCorps course, is offered over 5 Saturdays over a semester. So we come together, it's very intense. We don't see each other for a month, but there's lots of things going on that you need to do in between. So there's a real range of the way the MA is delivered, and we try and keep it out of that main 9 to, you know, some of them start at, you know, 4 to 7, you know, so you can kind of build a proper full-time job around that, or certainly meaningful work around that. Okay, the application deadlines are late January for domestic students and early January for international students. The dates, exact dates, will be released in coming weeks. Domestic students can apply through UTS online application, and international students can find more information through our international office webpage. Admission requirements. Basically, you know, we're pretty open with the people we bring in. You don't have to have an absolute detailed expertise in your undergraduate. What we want is for you to have a BA or equivalent higher qualification. Certainly, we do also recognize prior learning. So if you have evidence of general and professional qualifications, that could also be a pathway to entry. If you do have a BA, we want, or a master's or graduate diploma and graduate certificate, the degree has to be in a field of society and culture, i.e. Bachelor of Arts, Bachelor of Communications, or Creative Arts. If the degree is not in that field of society or culture, we ask that you have a minimum of 2 years related professional work experience. Some of our most interesting students, I think, have come from really different backgrounds: architecture, maths, physics, and they've produced some of the most interesting work because they come from a really different world experience. If you do want to apply that way, and that relates to you, we ask that you submit a CV and a personal statement. These are the details. The English language requirements are pretty straightforward. You can see those on the web. Okay, so I'm going to hand over to Sigrid now just to talk through a student experience. Yeah, so Sigrid, welcome. Maybe you could talk about some of the really, the things that attracted you to the course, and what was important to you, and what was some of the highlights.
Yep, thanks, Rachel. Hi, everyone. My name is Sigrid. I am a MAP alumni, and I also finished my master's degree in media practice and industry in June this year. And I'm currently working in video production and digital marketing content as a communication assistant. So I decided to continue my study at UTS and chose to study this course because I wanted to learn more about media industry other than the production side. During my bachelor's degree, I was involved in many filmmaking practices. So at the time, what I've learned about media is mostly about production, like filming and video editing. But I believe making a film or any kinds of media projects is probably more than that. So, and I also know there are some great postgrad programs in communication at UTS. So I did my own research about this course, and after reading the course structure, the course information, I became very interested because this course offers a range of subjects in 3 different streams, which allow you to understand the media industry from different perspectives. So today I would like to share some of my study experiences. First, I want to talk about what I've learned from the innovation stream. I always know that producer plays an important role in filmmaking, but my previous understanding about this role is producers are mainly responsible for funding and getting people together to make a project. But when I was studying a subject called business of the screen, I became more aware that what a producer needs to do is much more than that. It's more like a business thing. For example, as a producer, you need to evaluate how likely your idea will succeed. You need to estimate the budget, and you need to pitch your idea to the potential investors and so many other things. And in this project, I was able to pitch my own idea and writing a producing portfolio. It was just like a film producer simulation exercise, and it's quite challenging for me when I was doing this subject because it is a brand new area for me, and I'm not really good at finance or management, but I'm very glad that I studied this subject because it helped me gain a deeper insight into the industry in terms of pre-production. Also, I would like to talk about the post-production stream. Like I said, I'm already equipped with some media production skills after my bachelor's degree, and some people may question that whether I could learn anything new about media production from this course. And I will say I did really enjoy all the media production classes in this degree, especially one of the interesting subjects called immersive media. It introduces you to virtual reality technology and 3D creation. And these are more like advanced level media production skills compared to the traditional filmmaking techniques. And in this subject, I was also given the opportunity to try and learn some high-tech equipment and software like 360 camera or Unreal Engine to make my own VR projects. It was really fun and interesting when I was doing this subject. And I think more importantly, it helped me develop my skills in media production, because other than the traditional media forms, there are more innovative forms of media, such as motion graphics and interactive media. So yeah, I think these are some of the areas I hadn't really learned about before in my previous study. Yeah.
Thanks very much for that, Sigrid. That was great. Okay, so now we're just going to go over to some questions. I'll just put up the question page. Okay, so have we got any questions about the course that Greg can?
Yes, we're anonymous attendee. I'm not sure if that's their real name. Asks, does UTS have any industry connections?
Yeah, well, obviously we have loads of industry connections. So, we're constantly doing internships. We're doing a lot of, we work with some very major companies. Some of them are at Fox Studios shooting very large productions. So we're approached all the time for internships. There's a professional internship subject you can do as an undergrad, but we have also for postgrads, they can do informal internships, and that is actually done through the work integrated learning and careers department, and they organize all your insurances for you. They also manage how many hours you work. So yes, yeah, we work with all kinds of production companies, and we support students going out and doing that work beyond. I mean, one of the things we've brought in now is that anytime anyone shoots on campus, they're required to take someone on.
Anonymous attendee also asked, do I need to purchase my own equipment, or am I able to use UTS's?
So one of the great things about UTS is our media lab. It's stuffed full of cameras, tripods, recording devices. Yeah, we have huge amounts of resources. So no, you absolutely do not. We've got edit suites on campus, mixing suites, software, all that kind of stuff. You certainly don't need to do anything. And one of the really interesting things that we've had the benefit of recently is that even though we all went through lockdown in Sydney, we've managed to keep our facilities open the entire time. So students were able, as long as they were COVID safe, to come onto campus and to take year out and to use the facilities if they needed to be. If they needed edit suites and stuff like that, or access to software.
Again, another question. Do I get to create my own film?
I'm going to let you answer this, Greg, because I think that you're probably better placed than I am.
Yeah, well, I depending on it depends on the subject that you do. There are a lot of the practice-based subjects have a number of assessment items that are all creative rather than theory-based. So there are a number of opportunities to make your own smaller projects. There is a subject called collaborative media, which is the capstone subject, where you can take on a more showrunner role, or you can also take on a crew role. And that's more like a project greenlight type pitching situation for that subject. So when you say film, I'm assuming you might mean short film. We're not really set up for feature films. So the answer is yes. Hannah, if that's her real name, asks, do MPI students enter into film festivals or similar? Could I use a project I do at uni as an entry into a festival? I can answer that, Rachel, if you like.
Sure.
Yes, we have had a number of successful postgraduate films go and do quite well on the festival circuit, as we have with our undergraduate students. So, Hannah, that is a yes. One thing we don't do is that we tend not to submit to festivals on your behalf. I'm assuming that's not what the question is. Anonymous attendee is back with another question. I am interested in screenwriting. Is this the right course for me?
Yeah, absolutely. We have, I mean, you know, you often write in all kinds of different subjects. Like, so I do StoryCorps, and I mean, the students do campaigns. You're making short films. So you're quite often writing just as part of the normal output. But we have we have two subjects. One is called Screen Ideas. One is called Writing for the Screen, which is probably a little bit more old-fashioned approaches to screenwriting and structure and all that kind of thing. And then we have another one, which is called Screen Ideas, which is really interesting. The first half of the semester is focused on developing a narrative for a traditional screenplay, and then we flip it and you're doing the same narrative idea, but you're doing it for an immersive project. So you actually have this extraordinary experience of looking at different approaches to screenwriting with different platforms. So in fact, it's a very, very broad and deep way of approaching screenwriting.
I have a question for Sigrid, which is, careful how you answer this, Sigrid. What was your favorite subject, and what was the hardest part about studying the MPI?
Yeah, so I think my favorite subject is probably StoryCorps.
Damn.
Sorry, Greg.
I'm sorry, Greg.
Damn.
Yeah, it's actually a compulsory subject, and I think this subject really broadened my vision because I hadn't really related any ethical issues to filmmaking, and ethical production was kind of like a really new concept for me when I first heard about it. So, but as I learned more about it, I started to realize ethics is very important for every single one who work in this industry. And making a film is not only like telling a story or making money. We need to consider a lot of other aspects. For example, gender equality, diversity, and also sustainability, etc. So this subject makes you to consider about moral issues while telling a story, which I think is very important. And all student assignment in this subject is project-based. Like when I was assigned to study diversity topic in the film industry, I was required to create a 5-minute video essay instead of writing a 2,000 or 3,000 word essay. And it's really like fun to do the video about the topic. And we also have in this subject, we also have the opportunity to work with the real world client to help them create a campaign video Yeah, so all these student projects allow me to build up my own portfolio, and more importantly, made me have a better understanding about what ethical production is.
Thanks, Sigrid. That's very nice. I teach story course, so yeah, I hope she didn't say that. I didn't pay her to say that, but
yeah. Sigrid, I'm guessing Rachel will give you that money later for that answer. The next question, what kind of jobs does this degree lead to? I'm tossing up whether I want to go into producing or editing and want to know, is this the right course for me? Why don't you do producing and editing?
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, you can't the whole time. I mean, we do have a lot of subjects oriented towards producing. I mean, curating, business of screens and advanced creative entrepreneurship. And we have a lot of like quite high-end post subjects that Greg takes. So, and you're cutting all the time. I mean, so it's not, I mean, yeah, I mean, in some ways, this is a better degree because you can do both. I also think it's like with the kind of future of the industry is you really do need to have at least 2 or 3 things you're quite good at. I think the days where you just absolutely focused on one particular silo discipline in film is gone. Because I just think that very old-fashioned, very traditional trajectory where you work in art department, you work in post, you actually need to have a lot of, I don't believe you need to be multi-skilled, but I do think you need to be a specialist at 2 or 3 things, at least 2. Would you agree, Greg?
I would, and it also makes you a little bit more employable.
Yeah.
Which kind of answers the next 2 questions in a roundabout way. Do all the academics come from a directing background, or are they experts in certain fields and areas?
They do. Yes, they do. All the academics come from well, not just directors. So we have, I mean, I'm a director, I'm a documentary director, writer, producer. I'm also work in drama. Alex is a screenwriter, director. Matthew is a writer, producer. Margaret is a documentary director, producer. Bettina does look at a lot of the documentary. Emmeline is a production designer. So yes, we're constantly working in our own profession. Our research is in screen outputs, not just journal articles. So yeah, we all, I mean, Greg just had a wonderful feature. He produced and edited, is that right?
Yeah. Quite a few roles, but yes, producing and editing were the main 2.
Just at a festival, he's about to have something he cut at Sydney Film Festival. Am I allowed to say that, Greg? Sorry.
Oh, yes, announced. It's announced.
Okay, sorry.
And there's a couple other things coming up as well, but I can't talk about those yet.
Doing a panel. So yeah, I'm just about to start. I'm shooting something. I've winched in all the staff to I'm shooting something end of December. So yeah, we keep up our practice very seriously. I mean, and we involve the students in that. And that's the interesting thing I think about work. One of the things that I see from our alumni, they make these networks at school. That turns into paid work once they graduate. It's just that they're constantly connecting, building, networking, and like coming back to our world and intersecting, which is fantastic.
Hannah asks, and I feel like we've answered this: will the course teach me the business side of making a film?
Sure will. We have, I think, 2 of the most interesting subjects. Business of screen really is the coalface of producing, creative producing, I say. So you do everything. The first half looks on developing your own project, and then you hit the Liam, who's teaching it now, it takes you through financing, marketing, agencies, develop everything. So from where to go. So you basically spend 3 months or a semester developing a project as you would for industry. The other one, advanced creative entrepreneurship is actually run in partnership with the Compton Creative School. David Court, who authored that curriculum, he's got some of the leading screen personalities on the board and involved in that school. And one of the reasons we did that partnership with an external body was to bring in that industry experience. And he's really looking at things like serious business, like leadership, and developing and growing screen businesses in a really interesting, organic way. It's not clamping on, I think, corporate culture to screen. It's really trying to grow what are the leadership questions and business models that come out of a creative practice. And the other one is curation, which I think is just, it's a growing field everywhere now, from every museum, every gallery, Vivid, everything is involved in the curation of screen content, and it's something that audiences are engaging with. So we have, you learn those kinds of skills too. So if you want to push yourself in that way, in that direction, we also do design thinking, we do influence in the digital world. You can really orientate your MA much more to a business, focus on marketing, budgeting, financing, leadership, or you can push it much more towards production, or you can have a balanced portfolio. It's really up to you.
Anonymous says, I saw something about UTS in the Sydney Film Festival recently. Is the program or graduates part of the festival? Yes, we are.
Oh, well, where do we start? So
opening night film. We start with opening night film here out west, which has two of the writers.
There's 5 key creatives, I think.
Yeah, a number of the directors and 2 of the writers, Vaughn and Bina.
Blake's
James Vaughan's, who's a math graduate from the early 2010s, has a feature film called Friends and Strangers. 2 works that I did the post-production on are part of the festival. I'm also hosting a panel discussion that we're recording tomorrow called On the Future of Storytelling, where we look at immersive AI interaction and does humanity have a future in telling stories, or is it all going to be bots?
And
so many more.
The 9th and 10th of November at the Central Park West Palace Cinema, we are having a retrospective of our alumni's work. So that's, I might get Serena to send out that link to you. So that's on, so that's a combination of animation, the animation discipline, map, and animal logic. So we're having a 90-minute curated screening of alumni works in conjunction with the festival as well. So yes, lots of things.
Which include, and that retrospective includes a number of postgrad works.
Yes,
as part of it. Miley, 2 questions from Miley. Would a Bachelor of Arts in Writing qualify me for entry into this course?
Yes, so that is a BA in Society and Culture. So yeah, a BA is fine.
Yep. And how does the collaborative project work? I can probably answer that. So that's the final subject that you would do as part of the MPI. And so everyone in the subject or in the class would pitch a project, and we run it like Project Greenlight, which was the Ben Affleck, Matt Damon show where people pitch projects and one of those projects gets selected to be produced. In this case, depending on the class size, you might pitch a project which gets voted on by your peers, and out of that class, 3 or 4 of those projects might get made.
Okay.
Anonymous asked, do we work with real clients? That's a question for you, Rachel.
Yes, you do. So in StoryCorps, we get new clients every semester. The students work, it's the last assessment. It's quite hard. I mean, working with a real client to create a narrative-focused social impact campaign. And it's quite scaffolded. I think Sigrid was talking about it. But there's an MOU, Memorandum of Understanding, and you work to the client's brief. We also bring in a lot of top campaign makers. We often have a guest lecturer from M&C Saatchi. He's their lead creative director. Does a lot of campaigns, but also does a lot of pro bono campaigns for social impact companies. So he comes and works on a bespoke level with the client brief and the student groups, and then you work with the clients for about 6 to 7 weeks. Through a really scaffolded process, but you have to form your own group MOU. You have to deliver to those clients, and we have, rough cut screening, fine cut screenings, and then they use that content in their campaign. So it's quite high stakes, but really fun. I think it is really fun because there's also in design thinking, you work with real clients too. Booth are often partners with all kinds of different groups you create material solving real world problems that they then go and use. So one of the things, they work with the federal police on human trafficking was one of the subjects you work. So you are working with real world clients. And obviously we want to kind of increase that as much as we can. But yes, that happens.
Last question, portfolios as part of the course. Do we get to develop a portfolio? If
Absolutely.
yes, is that well regarded for future employers?
Yeah, look, I tell you, the thing is, I think it's, yes, you do. What happens in this MA is you come up with many, many more projects than just one final film. So there'll be different things will be at pitch stage. People think some things will be ready to go into financing or development funding. Some things will be completed. Other projects you will have different roles in. You'll have produced things, written things, but you'll have a whole suite of material. The other thing is, outside the formal curriculum, we have an incredibly active group of students who are constantly, so the undergraduates, they have a capstone film. So we have how many a year? 50, 60, Greg? I think, so we're constantly, they're looking for crew. So people build up their portfolio. A lot of the postgraduate students build up, they want to get more experience on cutting films or producing. So they work on those. So that all becomes part of the portfolio as well. So it's actually, depending on how much time you have, because I do understand that people work and you've got your full study load, you can just do as much as you could do till you drop off the perch. Yeah. So there's huge amounts of opportunities for work. There's
also opportunities to work. There's so many undergraduate projects, and
that's what I was just saying. I was just saying that. Yeah, I mean, an example is someone like Paul Parlow, who's a postgraduate student who just ended up doing so much of the sound design, music, recording, all kinds of things. He's still doing active work for undergraduate capstone films, and they're developing really interesting working relationships that will are leading to paid work as well. So I think that's it, is it? And yes, a portfolio is really critical for a future employer. So thanks for coming. I think we might wrap up. Are there any other questions? I mean, you can always contact us afterwards, where we are. I'm pretty sure you can get a copy of the recording, but yeah, reach out if you've got anything else you want to know or any details. And we're always happy to answer your questions. Okay, so just going to sign off. No one else. Okay, well, take care, everyone, and do get in touch.